Well, with all kinds of speculation and rumors going around of, will the Department of Education be around any much longer? The Trump administration may do away with that. We also have the Wyoming, how did Wyoming do with the national report card? School vouchers are on the table in the legislature. Let's talk to Wyoming's Superintendent of Public Instruction, Megan Degenfelder, about all these things. She joins us now. Good morning, Superintendent. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing well, Mac. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. I love having you on. I'm glad you could join us. So let's start with the national report card. Wyoming students' test scores, they're above the national averages, which is good, but some people are concerned that there is a 5-year downward trend in both math and reading. What is your take? What do you feel? And what do you think we should do?
Sure. Well, a couple of things. You know, we do continue to outperform the national average, which is great news. We're doing well, ranked high in especially grade 4 in reading and math. But then what we're seeing nationally, though, is still a decline in reading. We still haven't hit pre-COVID levels. We're seeing that you know, the achievement from other states is dropping down. And so there's a lot of work to do, I think, as a nation, but also here in the state. So we can celebrate our wins, but also look at how we dropped from, say, in fourth grade reading from 7th in the country to 22nd in grade 8. And so what's happening between grade 4 and grade 8 is one of the things that I want to look at in the coming year.
If there is a state, and I don't know the answer to this question, maybe you do. If there is a state that has actually gone up, would you inquire with that superintendent of that state on how to raise test scores? What do you think the plan is to get those test scores up? What do you want to do?
Absolutely. There's several shining stars in this year's NAEP results. One is Louisiana. If you look at what they've achieved in terms of reading and literacy. And so that's why we're taking a really hard look at literacy reform. We talked this session a great deal about it, and I think it's going to be a key interim topic, really looking at how we take literacy seriously in the state and really build up there, because we know that if a child can't read, we can't expect them to be successful. And so that's one thing that we'll be prioritizing here in the interim.
How much do you talk to the state legislature about this stuff? I know a week or so ago there was a state elected political hero who basically, in my opinion, was like, Henny Penny, the sky is falling. We got to fix this. And I think you said, no, hold on. How panicked are the state legislators, and what are their concerns, and how do you address that?
You know, like I said, it's complicated because we're doing better than the national average. We're doing really well compared to other states. But other states, you know, it's nothing to really write home about how the national average is doing. And so that's where, you know, I think we need to get to a place where we can celebrate the good things that we've done, how well we're doing comparatively, but then strive for improvement. You know, good isn't good enough in the state of Wyoming. And so I think having that conversation with our legislators, you know, particularly as we talk about literacy, you know, if we're not happy with our third grade ELA scores, we have to then give teachers the tools to be able to improve, to look at what those new national best practices are. We can't just come down with a hammer. We have to also give the tools in how we reach those goals.
We're with Megan Degenfelder, the Wyoming Superintendent of Public Instruction on KODI. So is it about ranking? Is it about the number, or is it about the literacy rate? Is it about that fourth graders should be reading all at a sixth grade level, or is it you'd like to be in the top 5 as far as the nation? Which one is it?
Well, again, it's complicated. Nothing's ever black and white, right? Particularly when you look at things like our state assessment. It's measuring English language arts comprehension. And so some would argue that that's not just a flat-out reading literacy test. But we have determined that is our measure. That's our goal in the state, is to get to 85% proficient or above. Right now, our 3-year average in the state of Wyoming is just below 50% proficient and above on our state assessment ELA. So again, it's a little bit complicated of what our measure is. I think that's part of the problem, is that we are having differing goals. The statute is a mess, for lack of a better term. And so that's where we need to really rewrite our literacy statute, decide what our goal is as a state, and then move forward.
So the Senate Education Committee is advancing a school choice bill that would give parents about $7,000 per child for vouchers. Are you in favor of this? What is an advantage if you are in favor of it? What's an advantage for vouchers? Why is it important? Why do we need that here in Wyoming?
So I've always been a proponent for school choice. I'm very passionate about it, both within our traditional public system and beyond. And we've done a lot of work with public charter schools and then the education savings account that was passed last session. I've always been supportive of ESAs being universal, have always supported that it's an amount that actually can move the needle on school choice, and I've always been supportive that there's accountability attached to that. When we're handing out public funds, we do need to have accountability. And so I think as the bill moves forward, we're making changes along the way to make sure that it does have those accountability measures. And so it's getting better each step of the process.
Is private school necessary, though? I mean, we're a state of 500,000 people. It's not like the East Coast where you can have, private, parochial, and public schools. I mean, is it worth the money to do these kinds of vouchers, or why not just improve the public school system?
I want to go about both. I truly am passionate about the public education system. I'm a proud product of it. But how do we maintain a robust, excellent public education system, but also recognize that not every student learns the same way or has the same needs? And so just because of our rural nature, zip code shouldn't determine a child's future and what they have available to them. So to me, it's all about recognizing individual students. Do I think that there's going to be a mass exodus from the public school system? I don't. I think we have a great public school system here, but I think that fundamentally choice is important. It's also important to recognize that this bill provides $7,000 per student. The average per student amount that we fund in public schools is $18,763. So we're talking about 37% of what a child is receiving in the public system that will be granted for these ESAs.
Megan Degenfelder, the Wyoming Superintendent of Public Instruction, joins us on KODI. There are stories coming out of Washington, D.C. that the president may do away with the Department of Education. How do you feel about that? Are you supportive of that, and why? Why do we not need a national or federal Department of Ed?
I've always been supportive of this concept as far back as when I was running for office. The federal Department of Education didn't even exist prior to the Carter administration. And President Reagan actually was the first that tried to dismantle that. I think it's important to recognize that just because we're talking about dismantling the federal agency doesn't mean that the funding or programs go away. What it means is that it's more efficient, that we have dollars that are funneling more directly to our states, reducing that bureaucracy and red tape.
If it doesn't go, or if it goes away, though, how do we get funding? How would that work? Where would it come from?
Well, that's what we're waiting to hear, what that plan will be. We don't know yet.
Oh, okay.
We've been told by President Trump that these are his plans, but we haven't seen that come to fruition. I believe today that Lisa McMahon is up for confirmation. And so we'll find out, I think, as time moves forward. But a lot of folks have contemplated that things like Pell Grants or federal student aid would go through U.S. Treasury, that money's block grant funding would be just sent directly to our state departments of education. So we'll see what the details actually include, but that's kind of the conversation.
There's also on the table is school lunch programs, that kind of thing. How do you feel about school lunch programs? We know that food insecurity is an issue, not just in Wyoming, but all over the country with kids who just don't have enough to eat. What do you see happening with legislation for that?
Sure. Well, there's kind of two separate programs that we talk about a lot. The first is our summer feeding program. We've been doing that for years, 100% reimbursed from the feds. You can create summer feeding sites anywhere. It could be at a school, a hospital, a senior center, you name it. And so part of my goal has been to make sure that we increase those feeding sites. And I'm very excited to announce that this summer we'll have 3 additional counties that are serving those meals in the summer. And we're also moving to where instead of just a one meal at a time, that they can get multiple meals at a time for a week during the summer. The summer EBT program, electronic benefits transfer, that's been discussed in this session, is something that the Biden administration came up with that really just increases, based on having children in the home, increases money on our SNAP cards. And so to me, I don't love that idea. I'd prefer to directly provide meals to students. The other catch is that they put more red tape on that program, and we're going to require administrative costs to be paid. And so my preference is that we really work hard on our summer feeding sites program that we've had for a long time, and we don't let politics manipulate this into just another welfare program.
Sounds like empty calories, if you pardon the pun, I guess, on that program that Biden started. My guest is Wyoming Superintendent of Public Instruction Megan Degenfelder. Always good to have you. Next time you're in town, let us know, and we'll bring you in studio. Have a great day.